If you've made it this far, you know that you want a power station, but you're just not sure which one suits your needs best. In this video, we're gonna go over what size power station is best for you and which one fits your lifestyle. Whether you need one for your desktop, or you wanna take one camping, or even power your entire house. Welcome back to the lab where our opinions cannot be bought. These are all power stations. They are all different sizes, power outputs, and prices. Choosing one comes down to convenience and what your needs actually are. Otherwise, power stations are pretty simple. Everything is built in, they're already tested, they're pretty safe, and they just work right out of the box. There's no wiring, no guesswork, and no headaches. Now, I understand seeing all of these might be a little bit overwhelming. Let's start from our most simple power stations we'd use on our desk or going camping, and then we'll make our way up to our mid-tier that would run something like your cabin or some smaller home backups. And then we'll work our way up to these big power stations that are purpose-built to literally run your whole house. As always, we'll leave links down in the description to all the products we mentioned in this video. And if you still don't think any of these power stations are right for you, you can take our 1-minute power station quiz on our website. It'll basically give you a tailored recommendation based on your needs. With all that being said, let's jump into our small power stations. Small power stations are really good for basically small things like being on your desk, powering your computer, camping, light travel, stuff like that that don't require a lot of energy and things that don't produce heat. They're best for USB stuff like charging your phone or your laptop, but they do have a plug in case you need it. And here we have the EcoFlow River 3 wireless and the Anker SOLIX C300X. And they are our favorite for that small power station group because they do their job very effectively. Now, they're both very different sizes when it comes to the physical form, but the batteries are very similar, and that's why we kind of picked them. And starting with the River 3 wireless, it's really cool. It has 286 watt hours. It has a max output of 600 watts. It has LiFePO4 batteries, but everything does now. And it has a really nice bonus of having a wireless charger built into the top of it. So you can have this on your phone walking around, and it's charged by the power station. The EcoFlow is $249, and then we have the Anker SOLIX C300X. This one is a little bit different. This is one I'd use probably going camping, and it's more robust and it has a very thick shell here. It has 3 ports here at the bottom. It has a car socket, USB-A, USB-Cs. The Anker has a light, and so actually does the EcoFlow. You can kind of turn it on right here. But I like the Anker's better because it's on top and you can kind of see all of your plugs, or the one on the EcoFlow is kind of like a floodlight. The Anker though is slightly smaller in output. It has only 300 watts of output where the EcoFlow has 600, and the battery on this is 288 watt hours. So it does come in at a cheaper price of $229, so it is kind of justified. But one thing that they're both very good at is something called UPS, and that is uninterruptible power supply. And basically what that means is when you have your power station plugged into the wall, and then we have our desktop plugged into the very front here, just like that. You turn on the plugs. Now our desktop will turn on. Oh yeah, please. Now we're looking at the screen, you can see that power is going in and power is going out. So Robbie is going to flick the lights, and you're going to see right when the lights go off that, so boom, we just lost power there. This clicked on and the computer never turned off. And so basically what this means for you is if your power goes out in your condo or something like that, you're not going to feel the effects of it because your power station is going to keep all of your essentials on. Anything that's plugged into this power station is going to switch over from using power from your house and your wall to using power from the battery so quickly that you're not even going to notice. And here are the mid-sized power stations. They can do everything that the smaller ones can do and a lot more. They have a bigger battery, more plugs, and they have the 30 amps so you can run your RV and your cabin and stuff like that. Not only can you charge your phone and your laptop, but you can run kitchen appliances like toaster, kettle, or your coffee maker, or even your fridge. And if you ever find out that your needs change and you do need more battery, the great thing about the mid-sized power station is most of them are expandable. That's why we picked these two, the Anker F3000 and the Pecron F3000. Taking a look at the Anker, it has a 3072 watt-hour battery and a 3600 watt inverter, which means it's a true 30 amp plug and you can run your trailer full tilt and no problem. And we have 4 20-volt plugs here. One thing I really like here is that them facing different ways, so you can actually use them all. Also, here's your 30 amp here. And then you have your car socket, USB-A, USB-C, and a really nice screen on the front, as well as a really nice light. This one is big enough where you can get your suitcase handle and your wheels, so it's really easy to take around, whether you're just in your house or you're on a campsite, anywhere, it's super easy, you don't have to lug it. And the reason they did this is because 3000 watt hours of battery starts to get pretty heavy and your back is gonna start to hurt even after a couple feet. Now, the Anker is the more premium version at $13.99 before our discount code, and you are paying for that premiumness, that's a word. They do have great customer support and they honor their warranties and all that good stuff. So taking a look at the Pecron, they have the exact same specs, but the Pecron is $799. And one thing we love about the Pecron is how budget they are. Like, anyone who wants to get into power stations can buy a Pecron and it's gonna do what you want, but you're not gonna have the wheels. You don't have the handle. You have to lug it around everywhere, and you're not getting the light, but you are getting a true 30 amp. And you still get all of the plugs and ports that you have on the Anker. You get basically everything you need to effectively run a room in your house or a cabin or a tiny home, but it's at half the price. That being said, the one thing we don't like about the Pecron F3000 is how close these 120 volt plugs are. You can't really do much with them, and if you have one big item, it's gonna take up like 3 ports, and it's kind of stupid. So anyways, that being said, both of these power stations have enough battery to run your fridge for like 2 days, and a big enough inverter where if you need to power anything in your kitchen, in the case of an outage, you can do that. And here is a live example of just how much your normal kitchen appliances use. So for a coffee maker and a toaster, you wouldn't expect to use that much, but because they generate heat, they actually use way more than you would expect. So putting the toaster down and turning on our coffee maker, the toaster uses 844, and then the coffee maker, it's at 1750 total right now. Now, if we wanted to add our kettle, we're at 3,200 right now. Now we're that close to our 3,600 watt inverter. You can hear this thing trucking right now. Pecrons have super loud fans, but your fridge isn't even running yet. So a lot of stuff in your kitchen does take a lot of power. You just don't know it, but these power stations can reliably run that no problem. And now we're gonna move on to our big power stations that can literally run your whole house. So now we're moving on to the purpose-built home backup power stations. You don't want to take these things camping or lug them around because they are just so heavy. They offer 120 and 240 volts out of one unit. Most of the time, they always have big solar inputs, and they're designed to run major appliances in your home, like your HVAC system, your stovetop, your oven, and even multiple circuits in your house at the exact same time. The best way to think about these things is this is what you buy when you want to stop worrying about power altogether. They're almost like a traditional solar kit, and in my opinion, they're a little bit better just because they're an all-in-one unit that is super simple to deal with. They work literally right out of the box. When it comes to the big power stations, we would recommend the Pecron F5000 and the EcoFlow DELTA Pro Ultra X, or the original DELTA Pro Ultra. And the reason we picked these two power stations is because they are on both ends of the spectrum. They accomplish similar goals, but they are completely different prices. We actually just released a full comparison video on these two units, so if you want to go check that out, head over to the Solar Lab and we'll leave a link down in the description as well. On the more budget side of the spectrum, you have the Pecron F5000, and it's something you can use when you want to power larger appliances, but it won't be for too long because the battery is a little bit smaller. Whereas the DPUX has basically double what the F5000 has with a bigger inverter and a way bigger battery. Actually, we only have one battery under the inverter here, but it really needs 2 to go to full capacity. With an inverter this big and basically 12 kilowatt hours of battery, you can power almost everything in your house. You can also add a ton of batteries underneath the inverter, so you can make the system last basically as long as you want.
All that being said, it really comes down to how much money you want to spend on a power station. And we've recommended both before, so honestly, no matter which one you choose, you're gonna still end up with a good product. Those are some of the power stations that we would recommend and some of the use cases where they would be best suited. And if you want to learn more about any of those power stations, we have full reviews on the Solar Lab channel if you guys want to go check those out. Otherwise, feel free to take our quiz if you don't think that any of these power stations are actually good for you. I hope you guys learned something and that this video took the guesswork out of picking a power station. And as always, any links to these power stations or any discount codes that we have to save you guys some money will be down in the description. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Peace out and stay charged.